wild times over here at Hyperconscious. What do we want to call this? Hyperconscious headquarters?
Ooh, Taryn in the house. Getting more people. What'd you say? Sorry.
I don't know, man. Don't even worry about it. Just pretend I didn't say anything.
All right, so here's what we did for this. Basically, Kevin and I got in the studio, and we asked ourselves a simple question. I wrote on the top of the whiteboard, the top 10 reasons why people are not consistent. Kevin and I went through a brain dump, and we just went like everything we've learned from 400 episodes. What's up, Alex? How you doing, man? Thanks for joining.
What's up?
All we were thinking about is like, why aren't our people so inconsistent, including ourselves? Like, what have we learned about consistency? And Kevin and I are not good at many things, as I know you're all aware of, but when it comes to consistency, I really do think this is a huge strength of ours. So I feel very congruent in teaching this, and I know Kevin does as well. There are 4 steps. We basically did the 10 reasons why people aren't consistent, and then we took 4 steps. Number 1 is identifying the problem. Like, what is the reason why people are not consistent? Clearly. Step 2, tell a story that makes it clear and understood, the concept. Step 3, communicate a tangible solution that mitigates that challenge. And then step 4, ask a question that raises your awareness. So I was mentioning too, what's up?
Can you take that screen down? Or do you want to leave it up? Because we can see it on here. It's up to you.
Okay.
What do you think?
I can take it down. Yeah.
Just because we got to read off that. And while you do it, I will sing the, oh my God. Why can't we see the presentation? There you go. Just leave it like that. That's fine. I will sing the Jeopardy theme. Do, 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 do. That's good. Just so we can see.
All right, so this is the first time we've tried using 2 laptops.
We have 2 laptops, a 50-inch TV. It's a whole, everything's it's in shambles.
It's all good. Okay. So, okay, there we go. So this is our primary objective, to help you identify and solve the top 10 most debilitating problems that are stopping you from being consistent. So human beings are inconsistent, and there's a reason why that is, and we want to help you mitigate those risks. There you go. Okay, problem number 1. Alex Hinkle said he needs this badly right now. Okay, problem number 1. It is your little secret. Go to the next one.
This is gonna be a whole thing.
Okay, so the first reason that we came up with of why people aren't consistent is because they keep their goals to themselves. So at the very beginning of this journey, this is Kevin and I about 3 years ago, and it was near Christmas time, near New Year's Eve. And I remember every single time we upped the ante, we announced it to our listeners. And so a lot of people don't tell people about their goals. And because of that, they're not holding themselves as accountable. As human beings, we are all very much afraid of judgment. And so when I tell people I intend on being a millionaire, I intend on that. If I don't accomplish that, I'm afraid of being embarrassed. Oh, he's not consistent with who he says he is. So I'm leveraging the power of public accountability constantly. You'll notice that Kevin and I do this a lot, and we're not saying these things just because we want to brag or anything like that. What it really is us announcing to the listeners, making a promise to the world. So for example, we talk about 400 episodes often. I remember when we first started doing 1 episode a week when we first partnered up, we said, we promised the listeners we're going to be consistent. I think it was Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to drop an episode. We promise you. Then we did two a week when Evan Carmichael challenged us to do 2 a week. And then we promised the listeners again, okay, we're going to do 2 a week, then 3 a week, then 4 a week, now 5 a week. We're on week 17 of the Mastermind. And at the very beginning, if you listen to the very first one where my power went out and I was in a motorhome, like a van, literally, we said, we're going to do this every Monday at 6 p.m. forever, no matter what. So the first reason why you're not consistent is that you haven't had the courage to announce it to the world. Why? Because you don't want to let other people down. You don't want to seem like a hypocrite. It's worth the risk. That's why I announced that I'd be the greatest natural aesthetic men's physique fitness model. That's why I announced my goals and dreams, because I want to hold myself accountable and I want to leverage the pain of other people's judgment when I don't succeed to get me back on track.
And the other thing too is this is going to become part of your identity. Like Alan and I, if you ask us, if you were to meet us somewhere, we're going to tell you that we're podcasters, right? We have the Hyperconscious podcast. We have over 400 episodes. Every single episode that we've ever created has the goal of helping our listeners become the best versions of themselves. This is in our DNA. This is who we are. We are podcasters. How do you expect to feel like a successful business person if you don't tell people about it? To grow your podcast, to grow your business, to grow your online brand if you're hiding it from the world. I think for most people, this is the first step where you come out and you say, this is who I really am. And then you own that. And then that can really, morph into your identity.
The last thing I'll say on this slide is this. After COVID, I announced to many people in this room, I will not miss a day of exercise ever again, unless there's unbelievable extenuating circumstances. I literally was so upset the gyms closed during COVID that I said I want to set a new standard. And I just decided I'm never going to not exercise again forever. I'm going to exercise every day for the rest of my life. The reason I tell everybody about that is not only because I'm telling myself, but I want to be held accountable. We don't want to be seen as hypocrites as humans. Leverage that. I have not missed a single day. The only day I haven't gone to the actual physical gym since the gym opened was when Emilia and I hiked Wachusett for like 5 or 6 hours. Or Wachusett hiked us. Okay, 1 second. This mouse is Jeffin. Okay, solution. Okay, so the problem is you're not announcing it to the world. That's the story about how to understand this concept. This is the solution. Tell the people that you trust about your goals and dreams, and find an accountability partner or a coach. Most of the people in this room are aware of my goals and dreams. And that has helped them support me. And then I know a lot about their goals and dreams, and I'm able to support them. So the people can't support you in the things that they're not aware of. And so the first question, and by the way, I mentioned this to Amy in the preamble and Kevin as well. So Amy and I are going to end up sending a direct message to everyone who attends this meeting with a PDF of every single topic we go through and every single one of these questions. And it's an assessment where basically at the end of this meeting, I want you to have a rating from 0 to 10 on 10 line items of how well you're doing in the consistency game, so that you can have an actual awareness of like, you know what, I'm only 30%, my life is only 30% designed around consistency. So if you want to understand why you're not consistent, you'll have a real like starting baseline of more percentage. So question number 1, based on this new awareness from 0 to 10, how well have you done at telling those that you trust your goals and dreams?
Fire. We were going to put loved ones, but we realized that for a lot of people, family is a big bottleneck in terms of wanting to say like, well, this is what I want, or this is who I really am. So make sure when you're deciding who to tell, it's somebody that you trust. It's somebody that you can be vulnerable with. It's somebody who's not going to judge you. It's somebody who's going to support you. Whatever your goals are, you need people who support you around. Like that is, without that, we wouldn't be where we are for sure.
Right.
It's so important.
You want to hammer this next one?
This is you because of the numbers, because there's math.
You're right.
I know.
Oh, there's math.
There's math. I don't do math.
Okay, the number 2 reason why you are not consistent, or why human beings are not consistent, is you don't know what you're missing out on. So I talk a lot about this, and here's the example that we used. I actually crunched the numbers on this several years ago. You know what's crazy is I saw the Facebook memory of this video that I did underneath my deck. Hilarious. I was a terrible speaker back then. So anyways, if you save $3 a day, every single day for the next 20 years, and you take that amount and compound it 8% year over year, you actually can buy a $60,000 Mercedes. Now, I love coffee, and I actually think coffee is a good stimulant for productivity. So if it's for a good reason, I'm not saying not to invest the $3. Here's what I'm saying. Are you actually aware of the downside of inconsistency? And I don't think any of us can fully fathom the price we're paying that one day we don't go to the gym, because it's not just that one day. You lose the streak. You lose the habit. It becomes less a part of your identity every time you don't go. You let yourself down just a little bit more. So what is the solution? Become more aware of the long-term effect of your daily habits. There's a couple powerful examples here. You smoke that first cigarette. You don't see yourself with lung cancer 40 years later. You don't wear sunscreen for a full 2 years, two tough summers. You don't see yourself having skin cancer 20 years down the road. If we could take the space-time continuum and collapse it, and you could see the consequence of that choice, that inconsistency right now. I mean, super simple example. The Alan that goes to the gym every day for the rest of his life, or exercises every day for the rest of his life, is a completely different life than the one who doesn't. It really seems simple, but every single day you've got to understand, like, the impact. What's up?
Another thing that I love to say about consistency, you're already consistent at certain things. They're usually just not the best behaviors for you, right? So if you struggle with eating fast food, you're already consistent with something. So don't think of it as, well, I'm not consistent with anything, I have to figure this out. Why don't we reframe that as a transfer of that consistency? Like, I know for me, there's certain things that I'm consistent with that probably aren't the best. Like, I love fast food. I'm probably gonna get fast food on the way home from here, right? Because I haven't eaten since 9 o'clock this morning. But if you think of it as creating a new habit, it's gonna be far harder than you to say, like, I'm already consistent with certain things. Maybe you're consistent with hitting snooze. Okay, all you gotta do is switch that. All you have to do is switch that behavior. I know it's easier said than done, but I think it does help to frame it that way. You moving away from me?
I
smell
just
or
want to
something,
be on
man?
the other side of the frame.
Oh, okay.
That must be what it is. So based on this new awareness, from 0 to 10, how many of your daily decisions are actually good for your long-term future? If you could understand the long-term compound effect of inconsistent habits, you would immediately start making different choices. Again, think of the cigarette at the beginning versus having lung cancer. The problem is the amount of time between pain and choice is too big for us to notice.
Think of your 10-year reunion or your 20-year, your 30-year. Like, our 10-year reunion was an eye-opener because we saw a lot of people, and again, nothing against them, they're good people, but there weren't many people who were in better shape than they were in high school. And then me, Alan, and our buddy Matt stroll in, and it was like, oh, okay. And we got a lot of looks for sure, but you learn very quickly that, like, 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, a year, it doesn't seem like a lot of time. But if you do something consistently, whether it's positive or negative, you will see some sort of effect. And if it's positive, it'll be positive. If it's negative, unfortunately, the negative ones seem to add up quicker.
Yeah, and the truth of the matter is positive habits are hard to create and easy to break. Negative habits are easy to create and hard to break because the rewards come really quick. A simple example is like you're socially anxious at a wedding. You drink that first drink, 1 turns into 2, 2 turns into 4, 4 turns into 8, after party.
Sleep in the bushes.
Right.
End up in the bushes. Sleeping.
The next day, you're hungover, but you got out of social anxiety immediately. So the pain was delayed. The benefit was right there. And we're going to talk about delayed gratification. Next is for you.
No.
brother.
Oh, yes.
Still me?
No, this is Jeff. All right, so this is a bold statement, but hang with me here. Your friends don't care about your success. What do I actually mean by this? I've been having a lot of coaching calls, and one of the themes that I'm seeing is people who want extraordinary results want ordinary lives. What do I mean by that? They want to go out for coffee at noon on a Wednesday with their friends because their friends are out of school or they are working from home because of COVID. Your friends want to see you. They want to spend time with you. They don't care necessarily whether you achieve your goals or not. They don't want you not to achieve your goals, but they want your time. That's why they're friends with you, because they probably value quality time. And the example I use for this is vacation. So who do you have to be to fit in with your friends? When Alan and I are traveling, we are uber consistent. Why? Because Alan is very consistent. I'm very consistent. We rub off on each other. Taryn and I just went to Vermont for 3 or 4 days. While we were there, I still got up early and did my stuff. Like, I just got up before Taryn did. Why? Because even when I'm away, I want to be consistent. You need to spend time around people who are consistent. Just like we talked about in cultivating confidence. If you want to be better at football, you spend time with football players. If you want to be better at basketball, a better speaker, a better podcaster, better at math, any of those things. Well, it's the same thing with your group of friends. If you go away on vacation, you should be able to be who you are and be consistent and not get made fun of and not get judged for it. So my challenge to you is to find more growth-minded people, because it's going to help you tremendously. When we're traveling, we're next level. Why? Because I don't want to look like I'm slacking. You don't want to look like you're slacking. Right? That's one of the big reasons. And I'm comparing myself to Alan and his standards, and that helps tremendously. We got a little clap there. A little clap there from Amber.
Appreciate that.
A little clap.
Nice.
All right. So the solution: get around more consistent people. Guys, I know it seems easy, like, oh, if I want this, I should spend time with more of these people. But this is also something that people are not consistent with. Be consistent with networking. I know it's uncomfortable for most people. I know, messaging somebody on social media is difficult, but especially with COVID, it's really hard to see people in person. The internet is the way of the future, right? Like most of our podcast guests, we've never met in person, right? It's just a message or we talk to their assistant. If you can get around more consistent people who raise your standards, you will have to become more consistent in order to stay in that circle. And that's, I mean, it's painful at times, but we need accountability. Humans need accountability. Question number 3.
Jenna in the house.
Jenna, what's happening? Based on this new awareness from 0 to 10, how consistent is your peer group really?
This is a hard question to answer, but I want you to be very brutally honest about this. I will say that your peer group rubs off on you way more than you realize. I remember I went to a wedding and I was doing a bodybuilding show. I was only 2 weeks out, and I got a message from the bride who I grew up with. She was a neighbor of mine. And this is nothing against her, but she basically said, Alan, I'm really upset. I'm really disappointed in you because you brought your meal to the wedding for your bodybuilding show and you didn't eat the meal with us. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I didn't waste the food. My friends ate my food. And I had this meal prepped to make sure that I succeed toward my goal. Why is it's such a bad thing that I have big goals? Here's what I'll tell you. Most people celebrate mediocrity, and it's so interesting to me. It is not supported to bring your own meal to a wedding. That's weird. It is not supported to not drink at a wedding. I've not drank at several. It is quote unquote weird. Maybe they don't have your goals. And they certainly don't care about your goals. They don't care about how well you look on stage. They don't care about why you're doing it. They don't care about your financial future. They don't care about your fitness future. And it's nothing against them. This is just the way the world works. That's why we always say, get around people with common core values and common goals. Kevin and I have very common mission, very common goals, and very common core values. Consistency is one of our biggest core values. If him and I didn't both have that near and dear, there's no chance we would have done 400 episodes without missing a single time. It's because we shared that core value that made it possible. That's why we showed up today. And that's why at the beginning of these, sometimes it's technically challenging because we're still trying to figure all this out. We will not show up. I don't care if 2 people show up. We were ready to do it in front of 6 people. We will not show up forever. That's who we are. And it's because we decided that together that makes it that much more powerful, whereas most people would not maybe support that.
And just to use this whole thing as an example, anything you want with consistency. So say you said, hey, Kev, I want to consistently get out of my comfort zone more. We would never judge you for that. If anything, we're going to empower you even more to do that. We will do that with you. So that example right there, or Alan and myself, when we're traveling, we very rarely miss workouts. Why? Mm-hmm. Because Alan will be like, hey, man, can we go tonight? I don't want to go, super early. Sure, let's do that. My goals are in alignment with Alan's goals, and I care about his goals. I want Alan as a friend, but I also want to see him accomplish his goals because that helps me accomplish mine. But I think, your friends will help you get drunk. Not yours specifically, maybe they will. But a lot of people's they'll say, hey, just so you know, on the way up to the cottage, there's a liquor store down the street. They'll tell you that, but they'll judge you when you wake up at 5 a.m. to journal. I'm not saying you have to get rid of these friends, but what I am saying is it's going to make it difficult for you to be disciplined and consistent if you're always getting judged for it, and you don't want to get judged for it.
Amen.
Are you up on this one, or is this me?
I'm going to throw this up with more people just because I can't see them over here.
He can't see them over here. Number 4, problem. You only want to do what feels good. Alan is going to do this one. Until then, So see, the problem is you can't see.
That good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
you
sure.
only want to do what feels good. So this is logic versus emotion. So, okay. So this is success, consistency, it comes down to your daily decisions, right? I didn't want to go to the gym today, genuinely. Didn't want to go. Okay. Had a lot to do, had to do this PowerPoint, needed to be in the studio. We wanted to record 3 episodes today. I didn't want to go, but I told myself that I would make positive choices around fitness as soon as the gym opened up again. So I think one of the biggest issues with why people are not consistent is this idea that you're going to always feel like it. I remember I heard a fire presentation by Harty, And he said, what do successful people and unsuccessful people have in common? And this was so powerful. He said they both hate to do what it takes to be successful. They just do it anyway. Every single day, all day, every day, we have the choice between a Big Mac and broccoli or a choice similar to that. Unfortunately, we want pleasure, and it's at the expense of something far greater. So I chose to go to the gym today instead of many other things that I could be doing. And I know that doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's the idea of I'm going to do this thing that I don't want to do because I know it's what's best for me rather than what feels good. No part of it felt good today. No part of me really wanted to. Now, it's not like that every day. I do love the gym. I do love to lift. But a lot of the time, I'm in the gym when other people are out partying or having fun. And I am like, this kind of sucks, but I'm choosing this because I want a greater end state. The last thing I'll say here is this. Muhammad Ali, I hated every 5 a.m. workout is what he said, but I loved to be world champion. That's the best way I can describe it. You don't have to want to do it. You have to understand that it's worth it and that you're going to be happier at the end. The last thing I'll say here is this.
You said that already.
I did. My bad.
You said that already.
The last thing on this slide I'll say again is you don't know you love something because you always want to do it. You know you love something because you're always glad you did. I ask this question to people all the time. Have you ever ate a really healthy meal and been like, oh, I really wish I ate crappier? Have you ever heard someone later down life and be like, you know what, I really wish I smoked more cigarettes?
I don't think I've ever heard that, no.
I really wish I had read less books. See, we're never going to regret good habits. You're never going to hear someone say, I really should have read less books. I really should have gone to the gym less, right? You never hear that. What you hear people say is, I wish I had the courage to express my true feelings. I wish I had made better choices. I wish I hadn't smoked so much or drank so much. So again, pleasure is a short-term fix but life is a long-term game. I remember people say, what if I died tomorrow? What if you didn't?
Well, the odds are you don't.
Exactly. Statistically, we live in this country to 72. You're playing a game based on YOLO when the odds are actually that you're going to live long-term. And I'm not saying to not. What I'll say is this.
Is this the last thing?
No. So on one end, we've got people who live only for today, and that's the YOLO. I might as well drink this because I'll if I died tomorrow, I wish I did this. Then on the other end, it's people who only think long-term, and they're always delaying gratification. Drive to 5. Right? Drive to 5 on that. Okay.
I got a quick point, if I may.
Yeah, of course.
May I?
Of course.
Okay. If you don't feel like doing something today, I would challenge you to be a little bit harder on yourself. When you get to the end of the day and you look back and say, I didn't feel like doing this, how does it make you feel? Probably not good. I think self-love and self-discipline go hand in hand. And that's why so many people are down on themselves, because they keep proving to themselves that they can't do what they want. I would say take time to stop the negative talk about, I didn't feel like going to the gym, so I didn't today. I'm not the type of person that goes anyway. You are whatever type of person you want to be. You've just convinced yourself you're the type of person that's not. And I'm going to be a little harder in this presentation because I think a lot of people need the accountability, but they also need the tough love of look, you are capable of way more than you're showing. And it starts with you. At the end of the day, we can give all the principles in the world. And I'm not talking specifically to you guys, anybody who needs to hear this, but we can give you all the principles in the world. And we've done it over 400 episodes, but it's up to the listener to say, you know what? I'm done being mediocre. I'm done making excuses. I'm done sleeping in. I'm done skipping the gym. I'm done lying to myself and saying, well, this, it's good enough. This is good enough. My finances, my body, my business, my relationship. So that's my challenge to you throughout this. Be honest, even if it sucks, especially if it sucks, because that's what makes the biggest change.
So you do not have to enjoy it, but you must believe in your heart of hearts that it will be worth it. And that's the thing, right? Instead of saying, I want pleasure at the expense of something greater, I would rather be fulfilled. So I choose fulfillment over pleasure. A lot of people live a pleasure-centered life. I want to live a fulfillment-centered life. Question number 4, based on this new awareness from 0 to 10, how well are you delaying gratification to get what you really want? I remember I heard a quote one time. It basically said, you cannot be upset that you're not getting what you want while simultaneously knowing you're not doing whatever it takes. We all know we're not doing whatever it takes. We're letting ourselves down consistently. And so instead, why not just say, and I said this to Kevin earlier, I basically said, imagine there's two people. Neither one is going to the gym. One of them is telling themselves a story of like, it's because of traffic, or it's because I have too much to do, or I don't have time. The other person gets very real with themselves. And they say, you know what? Maybe I'm lazy. Let's sit with that for a second. That person who admitted it, you know what? I'm being lazy. Now they can actually work on that. They can actually work on the truth instead of blaming everything outside. And we're going to get to that. Again, this is a very hardcore training, huh?
Yeah, a little hardcore. But we've been doing a lot of doing the breathing stuff. So back to the fundamentals of savagery.
Right.
Number 5, you are too good at the blame game. How many people, and it might not be you specifically, but how many people do you know that nothing is their fault? Like, Alan, there's traffic. I was late because there's traffic. Okay, maybe you could have left 15 minutes early. Or, I'm broke because of this, or my relationship ended because my ex was crazy. Any of those things. Well, if you're using excuses to why you're not consistent, you're bottlenecking yourself even more, because now you have to admit that you're using excuses, and then you have to admit that you're not being consistent. Hammer to the next one for the squad, will you?
Yeah.
All right. So this is everybody's favorite. What is this, 80s, 90s? I don't know. Roseanne. So imagine these kids, if they decided, you know what, I'm not even going to bother going to the gym or trying to eat healthy or getting off the soda or the sweets or the chips. My mom and my dad are overweight. They're overweight. It's my genetics fault that I'm going to be overweight as well. Now, they are using this excuse. They are playing the blame game, and their life is going to be entirely different. And now they have a built-in excuse to why they don't have to be consistent. A lot of people are living their lives that way. And I'm sure we all know, I know plenty of people that think like that. And this is another reason why you have to make sure you're not separating yourself, but not spending a ton of time around these people. Because if excuses are not only accepted, but they're valued, imagine the way you're going to talk to these people. Just like people who gossip. When you spend time around people who gossip, you either say, hey, look, I'm not into that, or you fall into it. It's going to be hard for you to say, like, look, the reason you're not in shape is not because of your parents, it's because you're lazy. It's hard to say that to somebody. Obviously, maybe you don't say it that way, but it's difficult to bring the truth to somebody when they're asking.
Another thing I want to make clear is we're guilty of all these.
Oh, for sure.
All of them. All of us, human beings in general, are guilty of every single one of these. And it's what percent of it have you overcome? So for all of you and us, there's 10 of these. We have ones that are still our kryptonite. So I want you to find where your kryptonite is. And that's why the rating system is there as well.
Also, just to add to that, when I was growing up, a lot of my family was into either drugs or alcohol. Most of my family has been arrested. I could have very easily used that as I'm going to get into trouble like them. I flipped it around and said, well, I don't want to be like that. And my family's great. So I don't mean that in a bad way, but like, I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to be addicted to alcohol or drugs or any of that. So I took my quote unquote genetics and I decided to use those to my strength and to make me even more consistent, understanding the downside of what happens if I'm not. You can do this one.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just going to wing it.
So solution 5 is take complete ownership. I've said this before. Everything you do is on you. Everything you don't do is on you. Everything you say and don't say, feel and don't feel, think and don't think. And I told Kevin this before today. He and Emilia are the closest people in my life, and they take so much ownership. It's interesting. Everything's their fault. And what's fascinating about this is that sometimes the people that are the least inclined to take ownership are actually the ones who it really is their fault. And I know that sounds interesting, but like, I can't even tell you how many times Kevin or I have gotten in a tiff that was small, but we just immediately were like, you know what? That's on me. Like, you're right. I'm late. That's my bad. I should have left earlier. You know what? Earlier today, we didn't have enough time to do all our episodes and prepare for this. And so what did we do? We admitted it. I took ownership.
And then we cried for a little bit.
Right. And then we literally added 2 hours to every Monday. So now we start our Mondays at noon because of the ownership that we took instead of just keep making excuses. We knew something needed to change.
And just to go back, if it's not your fault, you do not have the ability to fix it. So like, you could say it was traffic, but leave 20 minutes early. And that's, Alan and I have been through that many times. Like, just try to leave a little bit earlier next time and see what happens. So if it's not your fault, it's going to be very hard for you to find a solution to it.
Michelle Mraz.
Yay.
Fire, man. This is good stuff. Okay. Question. Based on your new awareness from 0 to 10, how much are you taking ownership for your own consistency? In other words, where were you blaming external circumstances when in reality, it's just not been a priority, right? It really is on us. No one's going to show up and make us consistent. We have to do it on our own. It's up to us. Okay.
Fire. Speaking of priorities, problem number 6. This is something that I see very, very often, especially in people who are love and connection driven, who appease other people. They are people pleasers. They don't like to make people feel bad. They struggle to say no. You care more about other people's priorities than your own. If you have homework due and your friends are all going out and they try to make you feel bad for going out and you say, you know what, I'm going to go out tonight even though I have this thing to do, that is always going to be a kryptonite to you unless you nip that in the bud. I'm going to try to say that every mastermind. Nip that in the bud.
Nip that in the bud.
The bud. Because the what? Butt. The butt or the bud?
I think it's bud.
I think it's bud as well. I think it's a planting term. Right. I think. So if you care about somebody else's priorities more than your own, you're always going to try to please them at the expense of yourself, of your goals, of your dreams. I believe the story. Oh, yes. It's one of my favorites. So this is where we met the incredible Alex Hinkle, actually. This was was it a year and a half, 2 years ago? So Alan and I lived in Jacksonville, Florida. Jacked. Well, I appreciate that. We lived in Jacksonville, Florida for the entire month of December. And we grinded our faces off, worked every single day. We worked on Christmas. We worked on Christmas Eve at the launch house. That is right. And that was one of the most difficult, but most rewarding months of our entire lives. We spent time with the mentors, Eddie Pinero. It was amazing. It was amazing. But I got a lot of flack from people for going and living in Florida for Christmas and New Year's. I think we came home on New Year's Day or something. People said like, oh, you're going to miss, Christmas with your family. My family wants me to be here because they want to see me succeed. Like, you don't get the opportunity every day to go live in somebody else's house and create online courses and mastermind with amazing people and be able to do all these things. This is literally a once in a lifetime opportunity. And again, that goes back to the people around you. The people around us never judge us for the opportunity. Like, they would never judge us for taking this opportunity because it changed our life tremendously. Yeah. Right now we're buddies with Alex. Why? Because we got to hang out with Alex.
The PMES system was born at that launch house.
Right. Oh God, that was so overwhelming. It was so overwhelming. So the point I'm just trying to make here is, if I was appeasing everybody and I said, you know what, my family might be a little bit difficult. Like, they might be hurting a little bit if I'm not there for Christmas. None of this would have happened. Alex probably wouldn't be here. Like, all of that stuff. So many things looking back would not be the way they are today. But I decided, look, it might seem a little bit selfish, but I have these really big goals and ambitions. I have to take this chance.
And they're selfless goals.
For sure.
Like this right now, like, we're adding value. Like, that's the other thing. And we're going to get to that. Like, your idea that going to Florida for a month is a selfish thing when you're masterminding with a multimillionaire who's trying to help you create and generate wealth and start a business. What if your business is for the world? What if your business is something that people desperately need? It's not selfish. And remember, in this story, the people who gave us crap for working on Christmas or for being away during the holidays, they're not thinking of our mission and our dreams and the people we're going to help in the future. They're only thinking of not having us there for them right then. So they're the ones being selfish, honestly. Right? And that's okay. They care about us. They want us there. I understand. The problem is you're going to have to learn how to say no. We're about to get to that.
And they might not understand either. Everybody was like, oh, you must have been so nice to like be on the beach for Christmas. We didn't go to the beach a single time in Florida.
Right.
Not once. We didn't go to the beach. We were working. We literally got up at 5, went to the gym, and then we worked all day. That's the reason we were down there. So
great month.
It was a great month.
Yeah.
We got so much stuff done. It's amazing. Okay. Enough about us. Solution number 6, you need to get better at saying no and not people pleasing. I think if you are emotionally and connection driven, this is one of the most difficult things for people. A lot of my clients are going through this right now. It's just one of those things where it's like, look, it's difficult to say no. Some people might hold it against you, but your dreams are going to hold it against you way more than your friends. And you are going to regret not accomplishing your goals, whatever that is for you.
Every time you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to everything else. People use guilt a lot. They don't mean to. I've been guilty of this too. I remember one time we were supposed to get pizza after moving, and I said, Kev, like I was guilting Kev into staying and having pizza. Why? Because I wanted to hang out with Kev, but I wasn't thinking about him and his priorities. And so we're all guilty of this. I try not to use guilt anymore, ever. But most people still use guilt as a way to influence, and it's negative in my opinion.
Question number 6, based on your new awareness from 0 to 10, how good are you at saying no? Especially when it's uncomfortable. Not even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. Because those are the opportunities that we have to revert and say, you know what? Yeah, okay, I can see that this is getting, a little bit weird. I'm gonna appease this person here.
Right. And that feels like the easier solution. Yes. Problem number 7, you don't have a big enough reason. So this is one that both of us are going to do. But basically, there's someone out there for each and every one of you that you can envision right now that you would do anything for. I told Emilia this past weekend I would do anything for her except if it was outside of alignment with who I aspire to be. But other than that, I would do anything for her. We all have someone we love dearly who we would do anything for. Why aren't we doing that for ourselves? Because who we are rubs off on them every day. And so this is the picture. Matching outfits, both axe throwing, and Y power.
It doesn't help that they took the feet up, so he looks like he's 2.5 feet taller than, except for, instead of 1.
Emilia's taller than you, man.
I know.
I don't know if she really is in real life.
I think she's probably pretty close. So,
sorry to interrupt. There's a question.
Okay, hammer it. What do we got?
How essential was it for you two to have each other? Would you have had the willpower to say no if you were by yourself and making this decision to miss Christmas?
Interesting.
Blech.
Interesting mirror.
I would say, for me, it was mostly fear chasing because I was going to live with somebody who I'd met once before, I think, or twice before. I hate planes, so that was a whole thing. It definitely made it far easier. But the other thing is, the guy that we went to live with is a savage too. Like he wanted us to work. So I would say it definitely made it easier. But I think I probably would have done it anyway.
I like the questions coming through. Kevin and I recently had a...
Wait, hold on. We have one more question. Sorry.
I want to make sure I answer that first one first real quick.
Okay. Sorry. My bad.
Too,
17 minutes. We're gonna be all right.
This is going to be good.
We're going to hammer it.
Kevin and I both recently had a moment where it's like, I don't even care if I could have done this alone. I'm glad we're not. I don't want to. Yeah. It's been so unbelievably challenging, and having him by my side has been like undescribable because he gets it. He's been in the trenches, and that builds the best bonds. And so I would say, because we were in it together, I think we were both willing to grind a little harder, go the extra mile a little more. I would say I've worked way harder to try to work hard for him and for us than I would have done on my own. But I think that's only because we have similar core values. Whereas I think it's the opposite if you're around people who don't want you to work hard, who don't value that.
Yeah, if Alan was trying to pull me away from work, this relationship wouldn't work in that way. But I think since we're together, I think we would both be successful eventually. I think we'll be successful at least twice as fast, probably a little bit more, just because of the way math and the numbers and the integers.
And the journey would suck a lot more. For sure. It'd be a lot darker. What's the next question that Mo had said?
How do you respond to people who are consistently inconsistent without seeming unsupportive or disinterested?
Oh my goodness gracious. Offer to help them in the way of not, like, don't say I'll help you, but ask questions. So especially if somebody comes to you and says, hey, I'm struggling with this, you could say, well, hey, have you ever tried this? Hey, have you ever tried that? Oh, you're trying to read more books? I'll be your accountability partner. Like, we have a book club. So I always say people will reach out and say, like, okay, I'm in a relationship. I'd love my partner to do this more. Do that more with your partner. Your partner doesn't know that you want them to do that more. It might not be a habit of theirs. So show them how cool it is to do it together And if they're into it, maybe they'll start doing it on their own. But at the end of the day, like there's only so much you can do for people around consistency. You have to show them that there's a bigger reason.
Whoa.
Oh my goodness.
My goodness. Excuse me. I would say, to answer this question, be truthful but kind. This is really, really hard to do. I've had to do it with Amy. I've done it with Kevin.
Oh, yeah.
Emilia and I check in. And we are always truthful with one another about how we really feel. The suppression of self-expression is not good for anybody. So I would say have ridiculously high standards for who you spend time with. And people who are super inconsistent, try to notice if that's rubbing off on you. And at the end of the day, you have a choice. You either allow that to rub off on you, because at the end of the day, it's not their fault. They're choosing their own life. It's your fault for choosing to be around them. I've realized this, and I'll be quick. It's not anyone else's fault that I felt unsupported. I chose to be in a room with people who don't support me. My fault. On me. So now I can make a different choice. Does that make it any easier? No. But I didn't, anyone who thinks chasing your dreams and being consistent is easy is
Jeffin.
Yeah, Jeffin.
I would ask them this question too. Do you feel with your current habits and your current trajectory that you're going to get to your goals? Like for me, it's ask questions and let them admit it. And then I try to swoop in and say, okay, well, this is where I can add value. Questions are game changers. Oh, also they can listen to the Hyperconscious podcast. I'm just saying.
Love it.
Good plug.
And I agree with the question thing. That's fire. Because if I tell you you're inconsistent, that's different than you telling me, right? I have a friend who always says like, I just don't feel like going to the gym. It's like, you've been telling me that you're going to lose weight every year for the last 6 years. When are you going to just admit that you're being lazy and that you really don't want it bad enough? And honestly, I just chose not to. I just kind of don't hang out with that person anymore, because my consistency was a spotlight shining down on his inconsistency, and it was causing tension. So that's going to happen. Okay. We got to crank.
Write out a list of 25 reasons why you need to be more consistent. We could very easily say write out 5 reasons, but 25 is going to stretch you. This can be people, places, things, ideas. If you have big goals, big aspirations, if you want multiple homes, multiple cars, you want to start a charity, you want to be a speaker, 25 reasons why you need to be more consistent. The deeper, the better.
And the reason it's 25 is because you're going to stretch and come up with even more that you wouldn't have thought of otherwise. Based on your awareness from 0 to 10, how connected are you to why you are doing what you're doing? Again, we would do anything for our beautiful girlfriends as long as it's congruent with who we aspire to be.
I would fight a bear right now.
I had to consider that at the lake house not long ago. We didn't actually see a bear. There was one in the neighborhood.
You thought about
it. That goes around. I did actually think about it, like, what would I do?
Problem number 8. If you're not fighting bears, I am not motivated because I am not seeing any progress. I'm sure you've heard people say, I have tried everything. I don't think you have, because what you're trying is not working, or you're just not putting it into practice the right way.
What do we got next? Oh, would you look at that?
Diets. So we've done many episodes on nutrition and fitness, and this is something that we've been practicing for a long time. So Alan and I had a mutual friend, and every time I would see him, he would be saying, well, I gained a little bit of weight. I lost it, but then I gained it back. And I would always say, what are you doing? And he said, well, I'm making sure I'm eating healthy and clean. Okay, good. That's a good approach. What else? Well, I'm exercising a lot. I'm doing a lot of cardio. I'm weighing myself. Okay, cool. I said, how many calories are you eating on a daily basis? Just give me a rough estimate. Man, I don't really go by that. Okay. He said, I want to eat intuitively, meaning I want my body to know what I need. Okay. I've been doing this for 15 years, and I'm still just figuring that out. And you've been doing it for 3 years, and you're very overweight. You're not there yet. That's the wrong approach. The wrong approach is not going to get you the right results. So, and I tried very hard to work with this person, but some people are just very, not necessarily stubborn, but they want their way to be the way. And that's fine. But if you are around somebody who is more well-versed in something than you are, sometimes you need to take a step back and take that advice, because, there's a reason Alan and I are in shape, because we kind of know what we're doing sometimes, not all the time.
But we didn't always. I learned from Nate, and I had to humble myself and go, what are you doing, man? And he taught me that, right? I remember the first time coming to the gym saying, what are you doing?
Thermodynamics. Yeah. Calories in, calories
that was before Kevin and I even worked together or any of that. And he said, it's calories in versus calories out. And I couldn't agree more. You can go east looking for a sunset all you want. You're never going to find one. And you think you're unmotivated. No. No one's motivated when nothing works. Right. Maybe you have a wrong strategy, right? So you got to figure it out.
Fire.
Okay. And we're all guilty of that. Solution number 8.
Go to somebody who has the results you want and learn their strategy. Honestly, when something's not working for us, we seek a mentor. Dave Meltzer, Evan Carmichael, Mark Metry, right? Like, we're always seeking mentors to help us because they know they have the answers that we don't. And we are humble enough to say, like, look, I don't know what I'm doing here, man. Please help me.
Yeah, we're reading a book on finances right now, Profit First, and then The Illusion of Money, because we're trying to master that area. We're not just winging it and him and I like trying to come up with our own financial principles. We're going to people who know this stuff better than we do. Okay, question number 8. Based on this new awareness from 0 to 10, how much time have you invested into learning and implementing new strategies that actually work? Kevin and I do dual coaching, and we're going to say this with love, but it's pretty obvious when someone's early in this industry that they have no concept of what it's really going to take. It is what it is. We've been there too, and we see ourselves in those people. Okay, so we get it. Get around someone who is better than you at this game. Okay, if we have 400 episodes, it has nothing to do with 400 episodes. Okay, it has to do with we have 400 mess ups where we raised our awareness. We've been studying the podcast industry for 3.5 years. There's a reason why David Meltzer doesn't ask us questions about podcasting. He's way more successful in business and podcasting. Okay, he would never come to us for podcasting advice because him and his team are more well-versed in it. This is where humility comes in. You got to go get the right strategies. Okay, 2 more.
Dave's only more financially successful than us by like $149 million.
Oh, that's it.
So it's not that big of it. All right, you can hammer this one.
Okay. Problem number 9, you don't know what you really want. This is a lack of clarity. Again, when we do dual coaching, it's pretty obvious. So we do free 30-minute calls. We're going to talk to you about that shortly. That's almost always the big thing. Is if you don't know what you want, of course you're not going to be consistent. What do we got here? Okay. So I have a client who I will keep anonymous, but we were recently on the phone, and he's an awesome dude, super disciplined. He's an Android developer. He wants to do 3 different apps. One of them is, personal development app. One of them is a vision board app. One of them is blockchain, which is basically cryptocurrency stuff in the future. Here's the point. I'm like, if you could only ever do one app, what would it be? And he's like, I want to do them all. I'm like, I've been there, trust me. But right now you're on the fence and you're doing none of them. We have to pick one. You have to choose. Here's what I'll tell you. Too many options will make a tyrant of us all. I want to write a bunch of books. I have to choose the first one. Okay, and I'm guilty of that. I have a bunch of books, like 5 different ones. I want to write one on finance. I want to write one on relationships. I want to write one on peak performance. I want to write one on natural fitness. Okay, and I'm going to write all of those. I have to choose. Otherwise, I'll never start. So too many options. Like, narrow your circle of concern. Okay. Nothing grows on the fence. You're avoiding the risk of choosing and failing. Have the courage to choose and go all in. Here's what I'll tell you. We are so afraid to make the wrong decision that we make no decision, which is actually the worst decision. Because what if he chose a specific app, went all in on it, and then he'd find out sooner, you know what, I don't want that app. Or this is the one. So you just got to choose, jump off the fence. Based on this new awareness from 0 to 10, how clear are you on what you really want? To me, this is the biggest bottleneck, guys. Like, so few people are crystal clear on what they really, really want. I got asked, what are your dreams this weekend? And I said, to have the most successful podcast in the personal development industry in history. Period. Like, look how clear that is. That's the true north. And that's what we do and don't do every single day is based on that.
Yeah.
And so next.
Problem number 10. We have a bonus problem as well.
We do.
Because that's how we roll. You welcome distractions too much and too often. Guys, this cell phone that I have here with my timer on it, extendable arm.
6 minutes.
This thing is amazing, and it gives us all this opportunity, and we have more opportunity than we ever have, but we also have more distractions than we've ever had. If you want to be consistent at something, you have to get rid of the things in your environment that are holding that back. For most people, it's cell phones, right? There's a reason, Michelle can attest to this, anybody in this group who's written a book. If you're writing a book, you've got to put your phone away. You got to put everything away around you, because if you're checking it every 5 minutes, it's very hard to make progress. I know how serious somebody is about their goals by how fast they get back to me. If I send you a message and you respond immediately, either we're already in good rapport, you love me, or you're on your phone constantly, especially if it's Snapchat or something.
Yeah. Or you just happen to be on the phone in that same exact moment.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you do
I want you to
this.
imagine, I want you to imagine your consciousness as a house. We all have a phone in our pocket, okay? And we can do anything with it. The problem is, what does that come with? Imagine your child is sick. And the most important priority in your life is to make sure your child is okay. And you've got knocks at the door. You've got people coming into your window. You've got sirens going off in the background. You've got people literally like jumping and crawling through your window. This is happening to us all day, every day. No one can get a hold of me right now unless it's 4 or 5 people that call me twice within 3 minutes. Okay? There's a reason. Right now, I'm here. I'm fully present. This is my most important priority in the history of the world. Nothing else matters to me as much as this does, except for extreme emergencies. Stop allowing other people's solicitation on your time and attention to derail you from your own goals. This is a huge one. Distractions are stealing your life. And this is what I would say, which is, oh, did I go way too far back? I did. Okay. Protect your attention like you would gold. What controls your attention is actually controlling your life. Right now, I could tell you to focus on your own eye color right now. Everyone thinking of that? I just took your life and focused it somewhere. Where focus goes, energy flows. The news, the nonsense, it's all taking your attention away from what's most important for their own stuff.
You know what color your eyes are?
I think blue.
You're a wizard, man.
How am I look at my own eyes?
That's what I'm
That's
saying.
good. Question 10, based on this new awareness from I'll let you do the bonus. Based on this new awareness from 0 to 10, the bonus was his, actually, by the way. How well have you designed a life that avoids unnecessary distraction?
The bonus is a real humdinger.
It is. 10 things. The 11th one is our favorite.
Yes.
All right, ready?
Yeah, oh, yeah, I'm ready.
Drum roll. Bonus.
So none of this means anything to anybody if they don't first admit that they need help with being consistent. Awareness and admitting the problem is the first step in any solution, right? If we had how to make $1 billion, we might have 1,000 people come in and say, I want to make $1 billion. Good, great. You admitted what you want. People have to do that with the negatives too. If you're not as consistent as you want to be, if you're not as fulfilled, if you're not as happy, you have to first admit that, because that actually gives you leverage over yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You just admitted to me that you want to be more consistent. I don't have to say anything. You just told me what the problem was. Are you happy with that? No, I'm down about it. Do you think you're going to accomplish your goals if you remain inconsistent? No, probably not. Okay, cool. You just gave me all the firepower I need, and you already had it. I don't have to tell you anything. You already know it. So you have to admit it first. If you're not willing to admit the problem, the solution can be right there, and it's not going to present itself.
Absolute fire. This is so, so important. We only have 2 minutes here.
Ooh.
Here's what I would say. Like Kevin said, all of this is irrelevant if you can't admit the fact that you're inconsistent. I actually, with consistency, I think we're good at consistency. Okay, genuinely, this is a strength. Here's what I'll tell you. Emilia and I were in the car this past weekend, and we were talking about our poor leadership skills. I'm working on leadership. I'm reading John Maxwell leadership books right now because I admitted that I suck at leadership. Straight up, I'm working on it. Kevin and I are at a rapport on this thing. You guys could all sense it. What is that? That's poor communication. That's poor leadership. I want to work on that. We're good at consistency. We suck at other things. Okay? The reason we're teaching you consistency is because this is the one thing we've spent so long trying to master. So if you're consistent, that's great. If you're not, just admit it and then start to work on it. And stay humble. Otherwise, this stuff will slip.
And honestly, most people aren't consistent at some point in their life. Like maybe you're just at the part where you're struggling to gain consistency. Like that happens, right? Not everybody's fit. Not everybody's wealthy. Not everybody has a great relationship. There has to be a line in the sand where you draw it and say, guess what? Today's the last day that I remain inconsistent.
Fire.
Thank
you all so much. If there's
quickie.
any last remaining questions, we do have a minute left. And then we do have one last slide. Oh,
yes.
If any of you, so Amy and I will send you, anyone who attended, a PDF of the 10 questions. Give yourself an assessment from 0 to 100%. Ask yourself, like, how consistent am I really? And do I need to work on this area? Consistency is the tell-all. There's no such thing as world-class without consistency. Kevin and myself will help you. We want to give you a free 30-minute call, a consistency audit. If you need help in this arena, we want to help you. And Amy just hammered links to our calendars in the chat box. So
we're not going to sell you. We're not going to hard sell you.
No.
We just want to help.
We just want to help.
Any questions, comments, concerns with the remaining 6 seconds that we have? Look at that.
Thank you so
Much
much.
love. Much love.
Much love.
Much
Thank
love.
you so much. Thank you all for attending. This was an interesting
It went
one.
by so fast, didn't it?
We appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for supporting us.
Love you guys.
All the love.
And as we say at the end of every episode, hold on. I can't do it yet.
Talk to you soon.
I can't get out of here. All right. We're jeffing it again. Still jeffing. You guys gonna hang out and see the jeffing? I don't know how to get out, Jeff. Use the mouse, will you?
Amber said bye.
Bye.